Tonight, we delve into a story that has gripped the nation, a tale of ambition, controversy, and ultimately, collapse. At the center of it all is a mud-filled crater, now scarring the east side of the White House, where dreams of grandeur have given way to a scene of abandonment and regret. This gaping hole is all that remains of what was once a grand vision. A new presidential ballroom, a project that has now been abruptly halted by a federal judge. The site, once bustling with workers and machinery, now sits eerily silent, a stark reminder of what could have been. President Trump's ambitious plan called for a 90,000-square-foot ballroom, intended to replace the historic East Wing. It was meant to be a crowning achievement of his presidency, a legacy project that would host world leaders and glittering state events for generations to come. Instead, the project has become a symbol of broken promises, public outrage, and a presidency under intense scrutiny. The once celebrated vision has turned into a lightning rod for criticism, sparking protests and heated debates across the country. The demolition of the historic East Wing shocked the nation, erasing decades of history in a matter of days. Now, with construction indefinitely stopped, the White House is left with both a political and literal pit, a daily reminder of the risks of unchecked ambition. The administration insisted the project was necessary for national security, but that justification quickly unraveled under legal scrutiny. In court, those arguments failed to convince, exposing deeper issues behind the scenes. $400 million in private donations were promised to fund the project, but as investigations deepened, the money seemed to vanish into thin air. Now, taxpayers and the courts are left demanding answers, and the sense of betrayal is palpable. As of January 26, 2026, a federal judge has ordered all work to cease immediately, citing willful deception, gross negligence, and a failure to uphold the public trust. Construction crews have packed up and left, leaving the site frozen in time. The collapse of this project is a cautionary tale, one of legal loopholes, broken promises, and a dramatic clash between presidential vision and the rule of law. It's a story that has left officials, citizens, and historians alike searching for answers. How did a $400 million ballroom become a national embarrassment and a symbol of failed leadership? Tonight, we break down the events, the decisions, and the consequences that led to this unprecedented chapter in White House history. President Trump's plan was nothing short of audacious, a vision that would forever alter the landscape of the nation's most iconic residence. Determined to leave a mark that would outshine all predecessors, he set his sights on a project of unprecedented scale and ambition. The centerpiece, a grand ballroom, so vast it would actually surpass the White House itself in size, stretching across the grounds in gleaming glass and steel. To make way for this 90,000-square-foot marvel, the historic East Wing was slated for demolition, an act carried out swiftly in October 2025, before critics or preservationists could mount a serious challenge. The administration hailed the project as a bold leap into the future, branding it a legacy project that would modernize the White House for generations to come. But to sidestep a maze of legal and regulatory obstacles, officials invoked national security, insisting the ballroom would conceal a state-of-the-art underground bunker, essential for the safety of the presidency. Yet the proposed design, a soaring glass-walled hall filled with light, seemed to contradict those very security claims, raising eyebrows among experts and the public alike. A Secret Service report, later unsealed, went so far as to label the ballroom a sniper's paradise, warning of unprecedented surveillance and security risks. Critics, including preservationists and political opponents, argued that the national security rationale was merely a convenient pretext to bypass strict preservation laws and public scrutiny. Despite mounting controversy and technical concerns, the administration pressed forward. But behind the scenes, cracks, both literal and figurative, were already beginning to show in the ambitious plan. The ballroom was pitched as a grand gift to the American people, a symbol of progress and unity. But, as costs soared and political tensions rose, its true price, historically, financially, and politically, was only starting to become clear. The sheer scale, secrecy, and breakneck speed of the project set off alarms throughout Washington, drawing intense scrutiny from lawmakers, watchdogs, and the media. The vision was undeniably grand, but as the first cracks appeared in the foundation, both structurally and politically, the project's future looked increasingly uncertain. And as opposition forces gathered strength, it became clear that the battle over the ballroom, and the legacy it represented, was only just beginning. The East Wing's demolition outraged preservationists and former First Ladies alike. The National Trust for Historic Preservation sued, arguing the administration bypassed mandatory reviews and congressional approval. Critics said the project was illegal and would irreparably harm the White House's character. The administration claimed precedent for presidential renovations, but legal experts saw this as a stretch. The fight was about more than a building. It was about whether a president could unilaterally erase history. In Congress, the Stop Ballroom Bribery Act was introduced to ban legacy project donations from those with conflicts of interest. The controversy grew, moving from the courts to Capitol Hill. The ballroom was no longer just a construction project, it was a national debate over power, history, and transparency. The legal and legislative battles were heating up. The White House was on the defensive. The legal showdown landed before Judge Richard Leon, a jurist known for his sharp questions and independent streak. The courtroom was tense, with both sides aware that the outcome could set a precedent for future battles between preservationists and presidential power. The National Trust for Historic Preservation urgently sought an injunction to halt the demolition, arguing that the administration was moving too quickly and ignoring established procedures. Judge Leon allowed demolition to proceed, but imposed strict conditions. No new construction could begin until funding and design plans received his explicit approval. Trump and his team celebrated the partial victory, touting it as a win for executive authority. But beneath the surface, Judge Leon's skepticism about the administration's motives was growing. Leon pressed government lawyers, questioning whether the administration truly had the authority to bypass oversight, and whether national security was being used as a convenient shield for unrelated goals. The turning point came when a classified Secret Service report, unsealed by court order, revealed that the agency itself had opposed the project. The report cited major, unresolved security risks that contradicted the administration's public statements. Suddenly, the administration's national security claim was exposed as a pretext, a cover for a project that lacked proper justification. Scrambling to catch up, the administration rushed to submit plans to oversight bodies, steps that should have been taken long before demolition began, but were only triggered by the lawsuit. Public hearings were hastily scheduled, but for many, it was too late. The East Wing, a piece of history, had already been reduced to rubble. The court now faced the consequences of an irreversible act, demolition carried out on shaky legal ground, with little chance to undo the damage. The administration's attempts to bypass the law were unraveling, as evidence mounted of shortcuts and questionable justifications. The legal battle exposed a troubling pattern. Rules bent, oversight ignored, and justifications offered only after the fact, as the administration tried to legitimize its actions retroactively. Now, the fate of the historic ballroom, and the limits of presidential power, rested with the courts, as the nation watched closely. The stakes had never been higher, with history, law, and executive authority all hanging in the balance. Trump promised the ballroom would cost taxpayers nothing, funded by $400 million in private donations, a bold claim that captured headlines. Tech giants, crypto firms, and wealthy individuals were named as donors, their support touted as a sign of confidence. The administration touted these pledges as proof of the project's viability, assuring the public that funding was secure. But the money was never secured, just non-binding commitments with no legal obligation to pay. A global financial downturn hit and donors vanished, leaving the project in jeopardy. The Treasury Department was left empty-handed, scrambling for alternatives. A major donor withdrew, citing market volatility and uncertainty about the project's future. Facing a court deadline, the administration admitted the truth. The money was gone, and hopes had faded. The funding collapse left the project a massive liability, with unfinished work and mounting costs. The administration's credibility was shattered, sparking outrage and public distrust. The ballroom's financial foundation had crumbled, leaving only broken promises behind. On January 26, 2026, Judge Leon issued a sweeping injunction, halting all construction. He condemned the administration for willful deception, statutory vandalism, and gross fiscal negligence. The missing $400 million was the final straw. The administration now had 30 days to secure the funds or face a mandated restoration of the site. No taxpayer money could be used without congressional approval. The ruling exposed officials to potential criminal investigation for misleading the court. Construction unions walked off the job, fearing non-payment. The site fell silent, the project officially in limbo. The judge's order validated critics and exposed the administration's reckless gamble. The ballroom was now a monument to failure. The fallout was immediate and severe. The East Wing was more than just a building, it was a living piece of history, woven into the nation's story. Built during World War II, it housed the First Lady's office, the Family Theater, and the Presidential Emergency Operations Center, all under one roof. Its demolition erased a vital link to the past, sparking outrage among preservationists and the public alike. Critics saw the project as erasing heritage for personal vanity and disregarding collective memory. The public facing economic hardship viewed the ballroom as extravagant and completely out of touch. The empty crater soon became a symbol of failed priorities and broken promises. The administration's decision was seen as deeply disrespectful to history. The backlash was swift and truly widespread. The future of the White House's east side is now uncertain. The administration has until late February to produce $400 million, an unlikely prospect. If they fail, the General Services Administration must restore the site, but can't use taxpayer money without Congress. The political battle over funding and accountability is just beginning. Congressional hearings and investigations loom. Legal peril for administration officials is mounting. The story is now one of overreach, failed vision, and the limits of presidential power. The empty crater stands as a monument to hubris. What was meant as a legacy is now a cautionary tale. Who will pay to fill the hole, and what comes next, remains unanswered.